Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. The Young and the Restless Tuesday, September 10 update, Chelsea's backlash, Adam desperate and Nick's scheme. The Young and the Restless, Y&R, spoilers update for Tuesday, September 10, reveals that Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow, will deal with more fears about Sharon Newman's case, mental state. It'll leave Nick thinking Sharon may have lied about getting back on her meds, so he'll raise that possibility to Maria Copeland, Cameron Grimes, privately. Nick will contend that they have to find out the real story, both for Sharon's safety and for the safety of those around her. Sharon has done some wild stuff when she was off her medication in the past, so Nick won't want history repeating itself and causing devastating news. Maria will agree that Sharon still seems off, but she'll think it feels underhanded to carry out some secret plot. However, Sharon is just going to lie again if they flat out ask anything, so Maria and Nick's scheme should proceed. At Sharon's house, she'll eventually have a hallucination involving another Nick smooch. Sharon will lock lips with her former flame inside her own mind, so Cameron Kirsten, Lyndon Ashby, will no doubt analyze what that means and keep pushing her buttons. Other Y&R spoilers say Chelsea Lawson, Melissa Claire Egan, will face more backlash, so this might involve coming clean to Chloe Mitchell, Elizabeth Hendrickson, about the events in Maryland and defending her actions. Chloe recently got updates on Sally Spectra's, Courtney Hope, split from Adam Newman, Mark Grossman, and was pleased that she was rid of him. At the same time, Chloe hated to see Sally in so much pain. Now Chloe may lash out at Chelsea for causing Sally's sorrow, betraying Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, and getting tangled up in the sheets with Adam again. Chelsea hates that she cheated, but she'll maintain that her night with Adam was about booze and mutual comfort over Connor Newman, Judah Mackey. Of course, Adam admitted to Sally that it was partly about love, so is the same true for Chelsea deep down. Sally washed her hands of Adam, but she may clarify her stance when she crosses paths with him. I&R fans can expect Sally to reach a decision about whether she can reunite with Adam, but it sounds like she already made it and will stand by that choice. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Adam and Sally's future is looking bleak right now, but could there still be hope down the road? Regardless, our predictions point to Sally trying to move on with her life in the meantime. On the Tuesday, September 10 update of The Young and the Restless, tensions in Genoa City escalate as familiar faces return and new plots take shape. Chelsea Lawson finds herself at the center of a brewing storm, Adam Newman's desperation hits new heights, and Nick Newman hatches a scheme that could either save his family or shatter everything. Chelsea's backlash. Chelsea Lawson had hoped for a quiet morning, sipping coffee at Crimson Lights, but the looks she was getting from the patrons around her made that impossible. Whispers followed her, glances that lingered just a little too long, and murmured judgment that cut through her like shards of glass. It had been a whirlwind ever since her return to town. Her past with Adam and the chaos that followed them wasn't easily forgotten. As she sat at her table, her phone buzzed with a notification, a scathing article that painted her as Genoa City's latest villain. The headline blared, "Chelsea Lawson, homewrecker or redeemer?" The woman torn between two Newmans. The title alone made her blood boil, but the article was worse, outlining her tumultuous history with Adam, her failed marriage to Nick, and speculating on her intentions now that she was back. She had spent so long trying to rebuild her life, but it seemed like every step forward was met with 2 steps back. "Can't catch a break, can you?" A familiar voice said from behind her. Chelsea turned and found herself face to face with Phyllis Summers, a smirk plastered on her face as if she was reveling in Chelsea's discomfort. Phyllis always had a way of kicking people when they were down, and today was no exception. "Looks like the town's still talking about your little love triangle," Phyllis continued, taking a seat uninvited. "Must be exhausting trying to juggle Nick and Adam again. I thought you'd outgrown those habits." Chelsea narrowed her eyes, refusing to let Phyllis see her sweat. "I'm not interested in playing games, Phyllis. I'm focused on raising my son and moving forward. If people can't see that, that's their problem." Phyllis tilted her head, a fox look of sympathy crossing her face. "Right. I'm sure Connor's thrilled with how stable things are in your life right now." As Phyllis jabbed at her, Chelsea's patience wore thin. She had spent too long trying to protect Connor from the chaos Adam's presence brought into their lives. She didn't need another lecture, especially not from someone as manipulative as Phyllis. "You should worry about your own life, Phyllis," Chelsea said through gritted teeth. "Not mine." Phyllis chuckled and rose from the table, her smirk growing wider. "Oh, trust me, I am. Just thought I'd give you a heads up. It's only a matter of time before Nick and Adam tear each other apart, and you'll be stuck in the middle again." With that parting shot, Phyllis walked away, leaving Chelsea simmering in frustration, but as she clenched her fists under the table, she knew Phyllis had a point. No matter how hard she tried, the shadows of her past loomed large, and she couldn't avoid them forever. Adam desperate. Meanwhile, at Newman Enterprises, Adam Newman paced his office like a caged lion. His desperation was growing with every passing hour. After losing control of Newman Media, his grip on power was slipping through his fingers, and it wasn't long before he'd be completely shut out of the family empire. Worse yet, Connor was slipping away from him too. Adam slammed his fist against the desk, the frustration boiling over. Everything he had worked for, all the manipulation, the deals in the shadows, it was unraveling and fast. He stared at his phone, knowing he was one call away from setting another plan in motion. He needed leverage, something that would bring him back into the game, and right now, the only thing he had was Nick's weakness. If he could play his cards right, he could turn Nick's world upside down and reclaim the position of power he so desperately craved. But it wasn't just business on Adam's mind. There was Chelsea too. He could see the distance growing between them. No matter how hard he tried to prove he had changed, there was always something standing in their way. And now, with Chelsea back in Nick's orbit, he couldn't shake the fear that she would choose his brother over him. Determined not to lose everything, Adam dialed a number and waited as the phone rang. "It's me," Adam said when the line picked up. "I need you to dig up everything you can on Nick. No stone unturned. If there's any dirt to be found, I want it." He hung up, a determined glint in his eyes. If he couldn't win Chelsea back the easy way, then he'd do whatever it took, even if it meant going to war with his own brother. Nick's scheme. Across town, Nick Newman sat in his own office at New Hope, but his thoughts were far from charitable projects. His mind was consumed by the growing battle with Adam. Every time Nick thought he could put his brother in the past, Adam found a way to crawl back into his life, wreaking havoc. Nick knew that if he didn't act fast, Adam would try to take everything from him, his business, his son, and maybe even Chelsea. But Nick wasn't going to let that happen, not this time. He picked up the phone and made a call of his own, one that would put his latest scheme into motion. He had done everything he could to stay above board, to keep his hands clean in the business world, but Adam had pushed him too far. "I need a favor," Nick said into the phone, his voice low. "I want someone watching Adam, every move he makes. And if he slips up, I want to know about it before anyone else does." As Nick hung up, he leaned back in his chair, feeling the weight of his decision. This wasn't the kind of man he wanted to be, but sometimes in the fight to protect the people he loved, he had to get his hands dirty. Adam had left him no choice. But even as Nick plotted his next move, there was a nagging doubt in the back of his mind. Would this scheme truly protect his family, or would it backfire, sending everything he cared about into a tailspin? As the day wore on in Genoa City, Chelsea faced growing backlash. Adam's desperation pushed him to darker corners, and Nick's scheme set the stage for a Newman showdown unlike any before. The pieces were in motion, and soon the Newman family would face consequences that no one could predict.